morning. Oh, here it is. Today we are a little bit more sleepy than yesterday. I understand. Yeah, you know. But it was for a good cause, wasn't? Yes. Oh. So, good morning. Today we will have our keynote speaker that is a very special person to me because it's a friend of mine. He took the graduation with me many years ago. Okay. So, Sofia is co-founder of Dream It, Make It, and Fibra Studio. Sofia is a PhD student in urban studies at ISCTE in Lisbon. Sofia is a designer, an artist, a curious mind, and a future activist. Currently, she is dedicated to the foresight industry, particularly futures literacies and resiliency strategies. In academia, she directed the post-graduation in cool hunting and trends forecasting in Barcelona until 2022, as well as other institutions in Portugal. This year, Sofia launched Dream It, Make It, an inclusive service of innovation that is the first thread-driven and future-centered hybrid learning platform. She is one of the founders of Fibra Studio, an international network of research and trend consulting based between Brazil, Portugal, Spain, and Italy. Sofia is also a textile art enthusiast. She is presently exploring carpets design and the sculptural aspect of fibers in cohabitation with other objects. So, I will ask Sofia to do her presentation. Thank you, Sofia.
Thank you. And hi everyone, thank you for being sober and to be here. So, let's see if I survive in the busy world. Okay. Okay, here we are. Is that okay? Nice. Okay, so again, good morning. Welcome to this presentation, and it's an honor to be part of this event. And I have carefully thought of a theme that could be relevant to our subject, being related with design principles of scale, practices, and inclusion. So math is my theme and also my provocation. So, first of all, who am I? Well, Katja did a really extended exposition of my projects, but I can synthesize it to these two main projects, which is Dream It, Make It, this platform of literacies in futures and trends. If you have questions about trends and futures, I'll be more than happy to answer that question, because I know this is a conversation that doesn't happen as much as it could in this meeting of design and thinking about territory, etc. So let's do it. And Fibra Studio, that I have founded with Lid Monsor from Brazil and with Sabrina Donzelli from Italy. So and I represent the Portuguese and Spain organism, since I'm working on both countries. So we are aiming to work in the deeper research level. So we aim to do consultancy and academic programs, and we are cooking a very special project named Opera. That means body of work, love, opera. And in this project, we will have the opportunity to document with images and text and our vision and our feelings and our communitary participative projects very, very soon. This is my studio with my partner, João Soares, designer meets a psychologist, and then that's what we can see, but that's what happens. So this is a curious space of learning experiences, of well-being and personal development and talks and whatever to captivate the skills to be ready for this challenging century. So this is our offer at Raya Miúda, that means small fish. So it's inclusive, and we have launched really recently in December, and well, this is our special project right now. So you are all invited to visit us if you would like to see all our propositions. So regarding my work system, because I understand that it seems almost pretentious to have such a list of activities. But I'm sure that if we all look at ourselves, you all have an extended list of activities as well that are your passions and your curiosity. So I'm just like you, a person of the 21st century that is testing, iterating, going the other side and then going back. So this is this process, this flow. So I organize my thinking, personality, my body of work in 8 dimensions, so to say. So excuse me, I'm so yeah, much better now. So always thinking about art as an expression and also as a medium of conversation in larger scale, trends and futures, thinking about the near future and speculative one, the one that we can dream of. Thinking about design and crafts as a research, a materialistic research, thinking, sensing, and all we can co-create and reinvent our relation with objects and legacy. Workshops and action, learning by doing. This is our mantra right now. So, and making this production to think together, building knowledge with our hands, with our senses, and we are common and complementary experiences. And participation as an act of creating speech together and creating change. We are in challenging times, and it's really important to go from thinking to action. So participation, it's a way of thinking together to translate ideas into transformation. Urban and local, because we have to be based somewhere. And creating ecosystems and systems that are intelligent and regenerative. So thinking about where we are, how we can affect positively our community is also one of the statements of our thinking. And of course, mental health. This is my special space of thinking. If you allow me my personal vision on education, I've been teaching for many years. And I always felt that the student was not regarded as a whole human being. And that was also always something that bothered me very much. And I promised myself that one day I will try to solve this problem. And I'm doing my part, even if, well, we are starting, we are modest, we are doing the best we can and trying to evolve and to learn a little bit more every day. But we are trying to integrate this mentality of healing the player of this game, the designer, the creative. We cannot only administrate skills, we're not being able to receive them. So this is one of my preoccupations, my missions. So just to show you how I have organized the workshop we probably will make together after this session. I hope so. So you are all invited. So I have organized it in this crossing this sector. So we are making we will make participative artistic work, making this speculative vision of the future. This will be ministered as an action research movement. So this is my proposal to you. Okay, I would like to talk about my inspirations really fast and efficiently, so I don't bother you too much. You maybe know the Studio Horta, that are a visionary couple, really interesting, that are using an expression that is mostly based on mediators that are quite tangible and quite easy and simple to understand, which means they are inclusive, and creating a speech about well, being artivists, playing the game of being activists, using art as a mediator. In this case, we have a project where flags were a representation of being together, of belonging. So this is one of this message that expresses itself through scale, participation, and also inclusion. Of course, Ai Weiwei, which is a fantastic artist, and we all know how artivist is. So this is a wonderful project, and I really love this image. I have to say that our project later on is quite inspired in this one. So this mosaic made by Lego pieces, which is a playful toy that was used not for such a playful purpose, but was tangible for participation. So this is also a well-designed experience to together put in place this speech and this reivindication and this political message expressed through art in a really tangible way and this architectural scale. Well, how do I have, what have I done with this information, with this inspiration? I have created this program at LCI Barcelona, and I've been the director for 4 years. I choose to come to Lisbon again, so now I'm just a teacher in this program, but it's a choice for being here with Caio Miúda and our new project. But yes, I ministered there some curious themes like think like an artist and aggregated to design thinking. So what's special about this program is the fact that we are trying to stimulate our students and also to educate the brands that are working with us sometimes, like big brands like Carolina Herrera, like the automotion industry, etc., etc. So we've been there to think in an intersymbiosis way, using multimodality, using sensorial thinking and instruments that facilitate this instinctive understanding of complex ideas. This is one program. Program that I've created in the lockdown was this online program named Co-Craft that aimed to invite to rethink the legacy and crafting and to reinvent using materials or reinventing aesthetics, practices, etc. So this was an interesting moment, but of course a moment because things are changing so fast. So that was really useful in this lockdown moment, and now we are expanding to make it a presential program. Well, Milan Design Week will be the next step. I'm going to present with Fibra Studio this SI Lab, which is a sensorial intelligence lab, and of course you understand this is a game with artificial intelligence. So we are going to test the boundaries, exploring the possible intersections, boundaries, and integrations between AI and our sensors and this capacity of thinking sensorially. So we are concerned and interested in the possibilities that are surging with this enormous movement that is coming into our lives each day more impactfully. And we want to explore, to think about it, and to see how we can co-create, collaborate with AI. Well, so now that you know everything that I have to propose you, here we are at mass. So mass, it's about scale, it's about macro movements, macro ideas, but also the idea of massive and scale and weight has been changing into these industrial eras. So we came from a paradigm, well, this is not a class, so you are more than educated about this subject, but we came from the mass consumption, this automation era, to this moment of eventually mass talent that is being challenging with the integration of AI with data machine. And we'll soon reaching this data machine human paradigm. Well, we are not there, but we are talking about the future and possible scenarios. So probably we are going into this pathway of mass customization. So, well, I know you are maybe not that techy, and neither I, but it's important for us to gain some literacy and to understand what's happening at this moment. So what's happening? It's changing in the industry right now. So cyber-physical systems are allowing real-time flow of data and decision-making, from islands of data to data ecosystems, allowing near-instant response time, information transparency, machine-to-machine communication, decentralized real-time decision-making, and cognitive computing. Well, this is all fantastic, but what does it mean? First of all, well, think of ChatGPT. I would like to know how it comes into your life and what you are doing with it at this point. Or cryptocurrency, or this disruption brought by the digital economy. Also, I really like the second one, where urban spaces, the transformer of urban spaces are a result of digitalization impact that are impacting our behavior. So space and behavior related to digital economy. This is a system that I would like to explore since it will naturally impact our capacity of production and our vision of it. Of course, possible tensions between technology and politics regarding surveillance and privacy. And the rise of personalized health systems. Well, if you would like to think about the next paradigm, maybe we will go into an era of technological change that could revolve around mass customization made possible by AI becoming ubiquitous. We may also see a deepening level of cooperation between human and machine, so the data machine human, as we already mentioned before, and combination of nanotechnology, self-assembly, and biological manufacturing. That will really affect the way we are producing our goods and our vision of design. So knowing that, and this is it for technology, knowing that, what is our mission? How do we feel about it? Do we feel overwhelmed? Do we feel that we can manage this data? Do we feel that we have to learn how to code, for example? How do we see this future? And how can we prevent the distortions, the dystopian scenarios that could be related with this scenario? In response to this possible anxiety or difficulty to understand what could happen, I have a simple proposition, and I think it's always good to start with something simple. So maybe we could try to think about problems, or design problem-solving systems, thinking about a future projection. So I like very much the work of Roman Krasnerek, if I hope I've pronounced it correctly, that offers us a beautiful book called The Good Ancestor, How to Think Long-Term in a Short-Term World. So the challenge here is for us to imagine ourselves, or even better, our loved ones projecting in the future. And how can we relate with the idea of giving them legacy as a present, as a responsibility? And this is a discussion that is really interesting, that is bringing the discussion of intergenerational rights, and also about interbeing rights. So thinking in these wide systems, we could offer a new kind of answers to design problems. I like very much this affirmation from Roman Krasnerek: the world needs time rebels to decolonize the future. So why talk about colonization when we talk about the future? Well, colonization it's a process where we live in a condition of the common knowledge, of science fiction in this case, of dystopian stories, of our fears. So this is leading to bias, and it's really important to understand that the future does not exist. The future is here to build. So if we start from this assumption, we could try to imagine a possible redesign of the society, and then to go back to the present, so we can reinvent our strategies based on a preferable future. So in this act of the colonization of the future, I brought you a work of Katie Patterson that had made this poetic representation of what it could be to create a legacy for the future. So this is a piece of art prepared and so it could be appreciated only for future generation. So those are books that were written and no one from our generation will read it, only the next one. So this is a poetic scientific action. So this is also a characteristic of this artist, the fact that she's bringing this research sensitivity to an artistic mise en scène. and here it is, this future library. Well, this is the question for us designers that are prompt to generate new solutions. So how can we do that in a methodological way? I brought you this proposition from Design Council, a British institution that has made a wonderful job of publishing possibilities and to create this literacy on future systems integrated in the design practice. And the recommendation is to start from system conscious and then to arrive to system shiftings. So one of the recommendations is to tend to be collective in our practice, design in action through making. Well, I think we are all integrating this in this culture at this point. To consider to unfold generative processes, collaboration with other challenging disciplines, and building a new set of value system. So what does it mean? We start with the question about industry and if industry could transition to mastery. Well, this is a question that I could have answered with images of wonderful projects that are being created by craftsmanship, using technology, and these cross knowledges bringing beautiful interpretations and beautiful solutions. Yet, I think this is something that you already knew. It could be interesting to explore the way that we could research this subject together. So, if we had to think about how to make this transition from industry to mastery, what would be our framework? So, my first proposition is for you to try to make these associations with what if. Okay, the what if game. This is something that we use very often on future, on strategic foresight and in this sector of future and trends, working with time. So what if we could relate this, the production question with other sectors of knowledge? What if you could connect it with health or with ways of working, for example, collaboration, of what we could relate it with nature, society, of big transformation, big disruption. So that would compose a picture of complex data that would design possible systems that could be interesting to research. And that will bring alive some questions, and some of them related with all the aspects of the diversity of thinking that we must integrate in our practice. So, what is the role of technology in craftsmanship? All the systemic approaches and regenerative cities contribute to the decentralization of product process. And I have to admit, I have a favorite question, which is the last one. Do we need anthropologists, ethical regulation in the digital economy activity? And the new declaration of past, present, and future life rights to redesign the world legacy we want to protect? So those are complex questions that we can identify when we think systematically, or in a system framework, to be more correct. Well, I've identified some of them. I can read 3 or 4. I don't want to be exhaustive. But it's really important to think in this context, what are we doing to protect creators' rights, for example, in a world where production will be probably distributed through files, through commons, to Creative Commons. So what is our role, how are we protected in the future in this context? Ethical framework and regulation of the digital economy, systemic approaches to sustainable urban planning, systemic changes for sustainable energy, agriculture, transformation, transportation, and finance. Well, that's a lot to think about. And of course, we are living in complex times. This is the post-normal world. So in this uncertainty, which is the main quality of our time, the main characteristics, how can we navigate, how can we organize our thinking that is so complex, so multidisciplinary? So I brought this proposition from Sarah Pink, which is an anthropologist that I follow really closely, which is a wonderful, wonderful author, that brought this possibility. Uncertainty can be engaged as a generative technology for understanding, researching, and intervening in the world. Drawing on key themes in creative methodologies such as making, essaying, inhabiting, and tuning. So those are not the methodologies that we are used to integrate. So maybe we could try to find possible ways of using uncertainty as a medium to reach new complex ideas. So this is, well, a recommendation that we will test in the workshop. I would like to highlight the link between the idea of producing and imagining these preferable futures in this context, in these complex systems, and related with the dimension of place, of territory, of the dimension of here and now, and time and space. So I brought 3 propositions. The first one is from José Ramos, that proposed this term that he has coined cosmolocalities, that refers to a local economy that is globally networked but rooted in a specific place. So the idea is to produce services locally using sustainable and ecological responsible methods, while collaborating with global partners to exchange knowledge, technology, and expertise. So this is open source and Creative Commons and open design at work for society. But that represents also a kind of society that is particularly interested in producing and manufacturing, and that could be a possibility. But we have tested with Fab Labs, for example, with technology. So how do we feel about this relationship of creating our products centralized decentralized from the big organization, but centralized in the city we are living, and also highlighting the fact that these Creative Commons are also a culture of course, democratization, but standardization of creativity responses. So that represent a challenge for design. This is my question. We have a second proposition from Daniel Christian Wald, which is an authority and regenerative systems landscape of research that has a lot of difficulties of finding funds because it's too interdisciplinary. So this is one problem for researchers that are brave enough to try to test other formulas. He's bringing alive the idea that the city being a living ecosystem. Catalyzing transformative innovation in the face of converging crises, advising on regenerative walls, system design, regenerative leadership, and education for regenerative developments and bioregional regeneration. So this is the idea of ecopolis, a city, a space that is a living ecosystem where all the system will be naturally integrated and self-sufficient. And the one that I think is the most popular at this point, which is the term coined by Carlos Moreno, the 15-minute city, that is related with this wonderful city that have the capacity of integrating all the services in a walkable distance, walkable or by bike. So you could find in this ecosystem all the daily needs such as work, school, grocery stores, parks, and the idea is to reduce the dependence of cars and to promote active lifestyle. And also an iteration on the smart city proposition that is mostly connected to the idea of connecting by technology, not connecting by the human factor. So those are scenarios or where we could imagine the role and of production in different contexts, where different ethical intention will be brought to life. Well, this is a case study that you may know from Japan, Wuhan City, which is a living laboratory that was built from a multidisciplinary effort between anthropologists, engineers, farmers, etc. So this is a gigantic project that is being implemented. So where we are creating conditions to identify possible usage for technology, automation, and reinventing a more connected life. So this is Toyota making an effort to be ahead on the next era of technology and bringing this IoT and AI and regenerative systems alive. So this is, let's say, an utopian vision that could bring really interesting solutions, mostly for the company. Let's see if it's for the environment as well. So this is I would say, the dystopian version of this idea brought by Saudi Arabia, which is the line. I don't know if you have heard about it, which is 140 kilometers in a line, which is a city that is confined in itself. So it's like a wonderful imagery of science fiction. So we almost feel in the Avatar scenario mixed with fantastic composed reality with technology, etc. But we can easily imagine it, or it could the result regarding privacy and regarding human rights. And imagine women's rights, where we are in this proposition where you live confined in the world where everything is being recorded, where facial recognition is on a daily basis. So that could be also an aspect that could be leading us to uncomfortable ideas of the future. So it's interesting and it's important to create these complex narratives, these imaginaries, where we imagine the future as a story, a complex story with characters, with scenarios, with all this intricate fabric of life to really understand deeply the impact of the work and the choices we are doing right now. So I don't want to bother you too much with information related with the territory and also with craftsmanship, but here are some authors that are working on this intersection of thinking about how to produce locally versus craftsmanship. Is it positive, or what are the negative aspects? The negative aspects are mostly the fact that working with Creative Commons we are losing probably this direct relations between the designer and the production being conditioned by a platform reality, as we may notice right now with free bank images, logo design that is just downloadable for €0 up to really insufficient return, economical return, but also how it could be a revolution in the maker maker community, for example. So here is the questionment and the discussion that is being put in place, and also about cities and the several propositions from the walkable city, the network cities, the creative city, the global city. So those are all possible ideas of how we can create this environment, then create this story that we could compose into it. Well, and to finish, a bit of humor. So you don't have to laugh really, because I'm not that talented. But industrial revolutions hanging out, chatting about the future. So sorry, I'm still too overwhelmed, says the actual paradigm. But come on, try something new, something easy, spontaneous. Like what? Well, let's try to dream it, to daydream it. Everyone can do it. This is a tangible possibility to imagine using our sensory imagination. Well, come on, this is disruptive. Why not design thinking? This is working so well. Well, so we can use our memories, collective imaginary, co-dreaming, and with the combined expertises like this one that we have in this class today, to produce meaning and stimulating partnerships between knowledges, creativity, emotion, and sense. That's a lot of data, and yes, and like, as the popular culture told us, yeah, don't think, feel. And social dreamers are used to it. So, finally, the proposition is being a time rebel, to think about the future ahead, to redesign our process today, thinking in a systemic way, so we can prevent the negative aspect of our choices today, and also to co-dream, to combine our knowledges in a spontaneous and free way. So this is it. We are going to test it in the workshop that will take place at 10:25 here in this same room. So you are invited to create this poetic co-dreaming experience about being a good ancestor. Thank you.
Okay, so questions? Do you have any questions? And I just want to clarify what we're going to do now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do this Q&A. We're going to grab a cup of coffee, and we're going to come back in here just as was described, and we're going to I'm going to get into your minds. We're going to get into your minds, and we're going to engage with the presentation that way too. So, but yeah, questions? Yes.
Hi, thank you for your presentation. It was very inspiring, but I have a question related with the concept of mass. Because in my personal experience, I even connected mass with the past, with the industrial, with the capitalistic, and mass in the future. It seems like this topic, I don't know. I want to know a little bit more about this.
Yes, of course. And thank you for your question. And that's exactly why I chose this title, to make this provocation. and to stimulate the idea of living a paradigm and not crystallize an idea with a certain time, because, well, we could, if it's a question of scale, finally, the idea of mass, of massification. I know those are difficult terms because they are everything we are trying to avoid every day. So that's why I insisted. We could think about new macro trends, for example. That will be a massive experience of transition from one idea to another. So that could be another wave of thinking. So why not being massive with a preferable reality? And also, why don't we massively use our capacity of having a voice together and do massive transformation, massive change? So this is the idea of bringing transformation at scale. That could be a change of paradigm. So that's my choice of words. Yeah. Thank you.
Yes, that's a wonderful question. Thank you. Anyone else? Yes.
Thank you very much for your presentation. I really like the concept that you showed today, and this resonated also in my studies and in my practical experiences. But since you are more experienced than me, my question is, how do you put in practice this concept in your daily work and routine, and working with with companies, I don't know, or the clients that you normally have, just to be more inspired by you?
Yes, of course. And thank you for the question, because it's always about methodology, finally. Well, first of all, we have the classical approach with design thinking. And we have models that are designed to co-produce knowledge using data. That is also something we are going to do at the workshop. And really, excuse me if I'm not very clear in my English expression. It's not my best language, so I try to work on that. But if you have any doubt, please ask me. But, well, design thinking, yes, we are working with data, and we are testing it in the next workshop. Data is really important, because you have to get into the company culture. If you want to make some transformation, you have to create based on the common ground. So and they are the protagonists of change. So you really have to be there to stimulate them to give the best results. And your job is also to provide data that is meaningful for the company and for the mission. So the mission is really important. It's just like an academic writing project. You really have to have a specific and clear goal, a good question, so you can answer it. So then you have to make your research and to find in a systemic way data that could be food for thoughts or food for inspiration. Well, and this is all a process that has to be cooked really slowly, because when we are managing a workshop, and this is part of the difficulties of making this transition of knowledge and this transformation, is really the fact that people get really nervous in this context, because we are all really different. As you know, as a team, you have a profile that is more creative, another one that is more directive, the other that is more expressive. So how you can use all these differences and harmonize them so they can express and create valuable data that are not a representation of the tensions of the team. Okay, so this is one of the questions. And that's why I'm really interested in the human factor. Before you start to create together, you have to start to learn how to be together, to create as a we. So I think this is really mandatory, and this is not a priority in design thinking. That's my personal opinion. And then you bring data, and you have several processes where you are starting from big data to really small one, and then you go that way with a lot of information, less, etc., etc. Depending of the company, depending of the client's culture, and depending of the project itself, you can choose your toys, so to say, your methods. Well, I'm used to work with the creative industry, so I'm lucky with the fact that everyone is really fluent in drawing and speaking, and people are more communicative. So it's quite easy to go step by step and to be fast. But in some occasions, you really have to rethink methodologies, to be gentle, and to really make people to feel good and to be ready to present. So that means methodologically you can approach a more human, like role play situation, okay, but or a more graphical one. But you are always working on the same package of data. For example, I really like to create narratives. And this is something that people like stories, so it's easy to engage that. Okay, so you can start with using this pathway of the hero, for example. Okay, so who is your character? Is a representation of this imaginary place that we are trying to achieve. So this hero is landing to someplace else. So describe me this place, describe it economically, politically, well, how things are, etc., and you can go deeper and deeper depending of the goal of you are trying to reach. And then after that, I can recommend you some literature if you want to. Elstracht is an excellent author that has prepared really nice and clean exercises of design thinking, especially to this sector, to create trends. Because trends are something that, a trend is an interpretation of data, okay, so there is not actual trends, it's a vision, it's a curatorial work more than anything. So this is an exercise so you can understand a package of information and label it and work on this, just like a branding exercise. So you have an identity, entity, and then you try to make it more tangible, and you give it a voice, and you give it action to it, etc., etc. So it's really plastic, you can do a lot of things. I don't know if I have answered your question. Yeah, okay? Okay, good.
Thank you. Anyone else? Oh, yep. I'll move quickly.
Hi, thank you so much for your presentation. So it's funny because in the last weekend I was talking with my friends about these kind of ideas. And one thing that I'm really concerned is about the education and how this can reflect in the future. Especially in Portugal, since I'm Portuguese, I think that we really need to rethink our programs and how we teach, because how we can make a change if we are not adapting the learning system to our present contexts. When I say this, I try to think how we can introduce arts, crafts and other things to the kids, so that we can, for, like you say, to keep an heritage for the future. That's not happening right now. We need to rethink and adapt. How can we do that right now?
And you want me to answer it?
Because we are not working in the best way to project something to the future.
Yes, I was joking. I totally empathize with your question, and this is really like touche, Really, thank you for bringing the question. Well, this is everything I believe, as you may have noticed by my presentation. Well, you have to. Here we have a lesson about our capacity of adaptation. When you have a big, heavy structure, it's really difficult to go through the time. But if you have a lighter structure, you are more agile to navigate in this context of change and transformation. So I think schools are big boats, So it's really difficult to transform academic knowledge. And that could be quite tricky to present this idea. But I personally, this is personal, and of course, I really think academia eventually has to be more agile. We have to invest in different literacies, the different a wider culture a more inclusive culture in creating documents, and creating knowledge and shareable knowledge. It has to be faster because when you are finishing your thesis, the reality has already changed. This is how times are right now. So imagine in a big structure at university, if you have teachers that are really engaged with novelty and they are stimulated and they have a context where they can progress and be always in tune with contemporary culture and with advancement, etc. That's happening. But regarding the structure, it's not that agile. So I think university have to make an exercise of rethink about the way they are creating programs so they can be more agile. But I can give you an example that this is really a difficult question and this is not a easy critique that I'm doing. For example, the program I had in Barcelona. This is a totally different learning culture. For example, you have small slices of knowledge that you have no glue, so to say, to articulate this experience, and it's all very fast and really stimulating, but you are kind of lost. Here in Portugal, for example, and we are really well appreciated in other cultures that see us as excellent academics, because really we have this a more classical way of doing things, and I'm not saying that classical is good, but it's providing us a more intellectual relation with contents, but with lack of practice. So we should find a balance between both realities. And ways of learning. I think it would be interesting to add pedagogy into our curricula. So I have to learn how to be a better teacher by myself. It depends on my curiosity and also my discontentment with how things were done. So I found some interesting, as you understood, art thinking is an instrument, and I can recommend you literature about it if you are interested in it, which is using this language as a visual language as a capacity of creating speech. I really like this intersymbiosis thing. So this is a way of thinking and thinking in multimodalities. That would mean that you could learn doing crafts, doing art, doing a play, etc., etc. And this is not only an era of text. This is an era of image. This is an era of AI. We have to be fluent in all these languages. And yes, we need to change. But it's happening slowly. But there's really a work of bringing new literacies and being humble and knowing that we really have to acquire nano knowledges and also make a manning of knowledges that are corresponding to our curiosity and to our specialty. So it's really a mission that could be fulfilled by complementary knowledges. So this is, I know it's not a simple way, but this is how it's possible right now. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I was thinking about how we can introduce a more multidisciplinary system to the education. It's more about that, not only the scientific subjects, but also the arts and crafts.
It's all related because it's a culture, it's a way of thinking. It has to be seen as important to really observe a change. I think at this point it's still not taken as seriously as it could be. A first step could be, for example, universities to have these labs, experimental labs, where we'll be trying new materials, new ways of thinking, etc., and discussions and more, promoting these games of projecting the future, past, etc. So workshops could be with different stimuli, so you can find your own identity. That could be a solution for a transitional first shift of paradigm. Excuse me.
Well, thank you very much. That was thoughtful and incisive presentation. So thank you.
Thank you.
So now what we're going to do is, if you need coffee, you want coffee, we can go outside and grab a cup of coffee, and then you're going to hear me say, let's come back in, and we're going to reset, and we're going to get our hands into your ideas.
Yes.
So, wonderful, thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Thank you. Olá, bom dia. Tudo bem?
Is your colleague? Yeah, my colleague. How about you? We went through. That's really the one. Like everyone is late today, or I know, but like, so when I arrive here, this is Norway. I'm the top three.
Sim, sim, sim.